over 2 years since Carter Murray took over as the CEO of FCB. And a lot has happened in these 2 years, globally and more so in India. Anyone who's been following the FCB Ulka story in India would know that whether it be change of guard, high-profile exits or letting the old go for the new, FCB's India arm has seen a lot of action over the last year or so. So I caught up with the man at the helm, Carter Murray, to get his take on the recent happenings, how FCB is trying to shed its age-old, old-school perceptions, how it's dealing with the beast called digital, and everything in between. Listen in. Thank you so much for joining us, Carter Murray. Truly a pleasure having you on Brand Equity.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I believe 2.5 years, as CEO of FCB, 4 or 5 times you visited India as the CEO of FCB.
Yep.
That's particularly impressive because, usually global CEOs don't visit us that often. Once in like 4 or 5 years, once. Martin Sorrells is the only aberration. But otherwise,
I'm not sure he'd like you using that word, but I'll let you use it, not me.
So tell me, why have you visited India so many times in this new avatar that you have?
Well, I think for our industry globally, for clients, India is a hugely important part of the world. A few years ago, everyone was talking about brick markets.
Sure.
Still are in some capacity, but India has managed to sustain some of that economic success. So I think it's just a hugely important market on the global stage, and so I think I have to invest my time being here.
FCB India has been going through some transition,
Yep.
right? You've made some big changes, bold changes, within the agency. Some of your old hands, are moving on, and rightfully so. You've got some new young blood. Give me your view of when you came in and looked at the FCB India space, the agency, and how it was being run. What do you think? You thought then that needs to change ASAP so that they can be agile, be more nimble-footed, and be more with it.
FCB in India has, as you know, a reputation of being a very strong local agency with a strong local management team, and I didn't want to come in as some international person and disrupt everything. So I gave it some time to try and understand the team and what we have. I think what we have at FCB and FCB Ulka is deep-rooted client relationships, scale, solid creative work, strong strategy. But what I felt we needed was an injection of fresh talent, as well as giving some of the talent that had been there for a long time some ability to be upwardly mobile. So you are right, there are some partners who we owe a lot to, who have put their lives into FCB Ulka, who have moved into consultancy roles or retired. And we've managed to promote from within. We've managed to recruit Rohit, which I think was a big coup for us, who's just a great marketing brain and great guy. And then I think creatively, we have huge ambitions for the company creatively. So we again, one of the, I think, of our proudest hires in our global company was finding Swati and persuading Swati to become our CCO.
Sure. So, let me give you the industry's perception of FCB Ulka in India, right? So, while you've given a lot of adjectives to define FCB,
well, you asked
Ulka,
for them.
Yeah, right. So yeah, sure. It's an old school agency, to put it crisply, and it's an agency that is just not looked at as fresh, young, nimble, and somebody who's putting out cutting edge work. I mean, it truly has a perception problem. And a large part of it is because of the fact that, they've had no real creative face. The management that was running it is also very old school. Good guys, but old school, right? And so Rohit is in. Then we had Sadbir, who just quit, FCB in a matter of 9 months. And now we have Swati. So what I want to understand from you is what are the small tweaks that you're making, because you can't do anything too drastic overnight. So what are the small tweaks you're making to ensure that FCB in India doesn't seem like this really old, redundant agency?
Well, I said to Rohit, I want you to come in and I want you to find the right partners from within and bring 1 or 2 from outside, and for you to define what this agency is moving forward. And it's really exciting. So That's a great thing about being the global CEO. You can put that when you give people responsibility, you open up their world to do it. So I'm not running India.
Yep.
Rohit is running India.
Yep.
And I think that's how it should be. I can tell you, Swati coming in, I don't know if you've met Swati, but she's so inspiring. Like when I see the emails between her and Susan and with me, I think she brings creativity and substance and gravitas into our agency in a way that very few creative people in the industry can. So I think you're going to see things very quickly. I think with Rohit and her as a partnership. But you look at Nitin, who we just promoted from within. It's an exciting time. I'm aware of some perceptions. I think.
Is this only an India perception, or do you think this would translate even for the agency globally?
Well, firstly, I don't agree with the perceptions, to be clear. No, I think I've worked in several networks now, and I think when you have a global network, you always have different agencies in different countries with different reputations.
Sure. Let me just move on to something that you just started. I believe that you've set up a digital task force for FCB globally.
Yeah. How do you know that? I haven't talked about it that much in the press. That's great. Okay.
So I want to ask you about why did you think that it was important to do so, and how is this task force really getting their hands dirty and supplying whatever they need in terms of data, knowledge, etc. to the different counterparts across the world?
What I realized when I arrived is I certainly was not going to come in like a knight in shining armor and tell everybody you need to be digital. And I also didn't feel that I wanted to buy a digital network and then give that responsibility to someone else. So I took the chief strategy officer, the head of our chief client officer who runs all our client relationships, a CEO who's written the best business plans I've ever seen in my career, and then two digital natives, two people who really are fluent in digital.
Sure.
And I said to the five of them, between all those areas of expertise, exactly what clients want right now. You have some digital expertise. You've got someone on the team who knows how to write business plans. I want you to work with the top 12 CEOs and their teams around the world and work out how good we are, where we can be better, and what we need to invest in. And it's amazing when you empower a group of really talented people what they can come up with, because what they developed in terms of working tools for every office to go through and then analyze where they need help and where they don't. Inspiring through new partnerships we never would have dreamed of. We've accelerated, I think, how we work as an agency. Over 30% of our revenues today are in digital. So we are a digital agency already. The question was, how do we get people to feel you don't delegate that to a chief digital officer. Everyone has to reinvent themselves, because today everything is digital.
Sure.
So it's a bit ridiculous to say, we're going to have a digital department.
Carter, it's interesting you talk about creative culture, right? It's interesting only because, as you would know, very recently Martin Sorrells talked about a bold statement to make that, we are not in the advertising business, right? And he's said a lot of that to support why he's saying that. Would you be in agreement with him? I know he's a rival, he's a big rival, but nevertheless.
I don't think I would ever say that we're not in the advertising business. I mean, I don't agree with that statement at all. The word advertising is loaded with many, 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 many expressions, which is perhaps why he made that statement, but I still don't agree with that as a statement in and of itself. Advertising today is about, I think, always being on, always learning, never being finished with what you're doing, being iterative. But creativity has to be at the heart of advertising. When you say advertising, I think about great minds and creative thinkers really solving client problems that they cannot do on their own. That's for me when advertising is really successful.
I just want you to just give me some quick data facts on the US market today. If you were to tell me in terms of media spends what the divide would be when we talk of traditional versus digital, where are they in that entire pie?
So you mean the industry?
Yeah, the industry. In terms of ad spend.
Well, depends who you get the data from. If you
exactly.
I think if you go to smaller companies with smaller budgets, I think they are predominantly digital. I think when you go to the large multinationals that have huge spends, it's getting closer and closer to 40, 50% as I see it. But again, it depends.
Do you think that's a smart move?
I think it depends. I was with one of my counterparts having lunch the other day talking through about this very question. And he said something I thought was interesting. He said, if someone came to me and said, I have a $50 million, a $10 million business,
sure,
and I want to make it a $20 million business, I could do it 100% digital spend, and I think I could make it into that business. If you come to me with $1 billion business and say you want to be 100% digital, I could probably guarantee you it'll be a $900 million business at some point soon. Digital now is everywhere,
sure.
So I think it's sort of evolving to a place where when you say, should an idea be digital? Well, everything is digital in a sense.
Exactly.
I think where I start getting a little worried is when clients take disproportionately large parts of their budget and put it in social media. I think you have to be very focused when you do that, and there has to be a clear reason for doing. When you do, it can be very effective. But I agree with you that everyone's saying, I have to take a formulaic part of my budget and put it into social media is just as bad as saying I have to take a formulaic part of my budget and put it in television advertising.
Sure. Yeah, because today for us, in India at least, digital is essentially TV on digital, or rather, a 30-second spot converted to a 7.5-minute spot because you can, right? And it's on YouTube, and that's a great digital strategy. So, I really don't know where we're going in terms of actual evolution of, of this platform.
I think if you'll be reporting on it, I think you're going to see a wave of change in India following suit of what we've seen happen in other countries of the world. So, if you go to Korea and you go to Japan, you look at the United States, those are places where there's some really interesting things happening in digital. So I think it's never been a more exciting time to be in marketing in India. I think there's some really interesting things that can be done in the years ahead. Frankly, that play on the global stage, not just in India.
Sure. Well, we hope so, and we hope...
I hope so too.
We've been hearing that for a while, but we truly hope so. On that note, thank you so much, Kara. This has truly been wonderful, and hopefully we'll meet again in Cannes.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me over.